All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another Monday Morning Takeaway show with Cole Pinkston. I'm Justin Hokanson. A lot to talk about, Cole. A lot to talk about. Auburn
Yeah.
goes, Auburn goes to Oklahoma, falls in a close physical game, 24-17. Where do you want to start? Where should we start? Defense, offense, bad calls, penalties. Where would you? What's the number one thing on your mind after that one?
Um. Well, as we're recording this, I'm kind of walking through the game like always, and woke up with maybe a little more clarity of mind today about this, and I feel okay about where Auburn's at. I feel okay. I don't feel worse about them. I don't feel better about them necessarily. There's a couple things that I feel better about as far as maybe the talent of the roster goes. I hate seeing some of the same old issues. I wrote, it's very unfortunate that last drive looked the way it did because the rest of the game, I think, if you're not like in tune to Auburn like we are, or an Auburn fan that watches everything closely, and you're watching Auburn, I think Auburn earned a lot of respect yesterday from people who didn't think Auburn had a shot against Oklahoma because they absolutely matched up with Oklahoma. I don't think they were overmatched at all until you get to that last drive. You're in desperation mode, and it really shouldn't have been that way. You had 4 minutes. Still trying to figure out why that happened. But you end up being in desperation mode where you give one of the most, if not the most, star-studded defensive front you're going to see a chance to pin their ears back, and that's no good. So I hate it ended the way it did because it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. The rest of the game was actually pretty good from what I've seen on film.
Yeah. Um, I posted on the corner Sunday morning, that it definitely doesn't feel like a loss in terms of how a bunch of other losses have felt over the last 4 years. It definitely feels different than those. You come away saying um, that I thought Auburn played a physical brand of football, and I thought they belonged. And
100%.
so
100% belonged.
I think you come away and you could really go two ways with this, and I think both would be fair. I mean, both would be fair, but one side of this has got maybe a little more evidence to their on their side in terms of maybe their concerns. Let's say I think you could come away from this game and go, listen, 13 penalties, um, two massively blown calls that literally cost points. You miss Cam Coleman on a touchdown. You're missing your starting cornerback. You gave up 10 sacks, and you were winning with 5 minutes to go. And then you had a chance to win or at least tie the game with 4 minutes or so to go. So on one hand, you could go, that's a ton of stuff that went against you, and you still had a chance to win. So I think you could point out all the things that went against Auburn and go, they were right there. Hugh Freeze said it after the game. Hey, we can walk in the locker room and say, okay, we did all these things wrong. We had a chance. So now let's build on it. And I think that would be fine. The other side of that is there were all these things that went wrong. Not even talking about the calls. You committed 13 penalties. You committed 10 offensive penalties. It was one of the least efficient games on offense in a while. By the way, Jackson Arnold could have had 2 picks in that game too. So just if we're playing the what if game, if you're an Auburn fan, it is fair to also say that Jackson Arnold could have had 2 turnovers. That's fair too. I think you need to acknowledge that as an Auburn fan. Say there could have easily, ball was in OU defenders' hands. It could have been 2 turnovers on that side of the ball. And so I think it's fair to say, when are we going to see a cleaner brand of football in these big games? That's fair too. So I think you can go both ways. I'm sort of right now leaning that this team can still accomplish a lot of big things this year. I think that the way Jackson Arnold held the football, that's got to be a turning point. It's just so obvious that you have to watch the film And it's got to be so glaring when you walk away from this game and go, okay, Jackson, you've got to have an internal clock that's got to speed up. And maybe us as coaches have got to do just something a little different in the pass routes we're giving you, but something has to change in that regard. So hopefully you go to College Station and you don't watch a repeat of that. I'm somewhat optimistic that will occur. But I don't know. I think you come away and go, that felt different than watching Auburn lose some other games this year. And so you hope that they can build on it. O-line didn't play great, but Oklahoma's front's really good. So again, it's like you could kind of go both ways with that. But again, Georgia's front's going to be good. A&M's front's going to be good. Alabama's front's going to be good. Like, you're going to face other good fronts. So, you know what I mean? I think you could go both ways coming out of that game, and I think you'd be pretty fair to go both ways. But I think the side that's a little concerned about the cleaning things up, we're in year 3. So there's just been a lot of these games where whether it's turnovers or penalties or critical mistakes in third downs or whatever it is, there's just kind of the trend sort of continues of not really being able to put a clean operation together in one of these big games.
To your first point, there's also an advantage of Brent Venables knowing exactly how to attack Jackson Arnold. He knew he probably wouldn't be ready. He knew he might hold on to the football longer than he needs to because that's what he did at Oklahoma. It's all on film. If you don't believe me, go check it out. And so he sent a lot of blitzes. He sent a lot of blitzes. That was, and I watched the game with my dad, who was a former coach. He kept saying, "Man, are you ever going to make them pay for blitzing like that? Because that's got to happen at some point. Make them pay. If they're going to be that aggressive, you got to have something for it." That's number one. Let me ask you a question, Justin, on the clean thing. I agree. The game was not clean. Offensive operation at times was kind of clean. The biggest problem that hindered Auburn the entire game was him holding on to the ball too long. I think pass protection played into some of that. And then, really everything else was fine. Probably should have run the ball more. But as far as you're talking about clean, do you think they have cleaned some things up? Because, no turnovers. Penalties are bad. But have they fixed at least one of the problems that we saw last year? Or do you look at the sack number and go, it outweighs it?
Sorry, I was looking at the AP poll that was put out. Of course, Auburn fell out of the AP poll. Who cares? It doesn't really matter at this point. I don't know. I will say the sack number is a convoluted thing. I'd love to sit in that meeting. I would say Arnold is at fault for some of that. The offensive line's probably at fault for some of those. I bet you that Hugh Freeze and them wish they had some play calls back. I bet you there's some play calls or some situations where they go, God, that wasn't a very good route combination or whatever we called there. It was not great. And there was nothing there. I bet you there's a combination of stuff there. I didn't think, I'd have to go back and watch it, but a lot of those sacks they weren't just free for alls. There was definitely a good share of those where there was just too much time. He just held the ball too long and was trying to wait for something to come open and should have just taken off. Count to whatever your internal clock is, get to 2.5 seconds, whatever it is, and then just go. And even if Oklahoma was waiting on you, which I think they probably were, I think Oklahoma was they had some defenders that were probably just waiting on him to take off and run. But okay, fine. Get a yard. Maybe you make somebody miss and you get more than that. But okay, get a yard and move on. I kind of wonder Hugh Freeze, I think, has been pressing Jackson a little bit to, hey, go through your progressions. Let's give it time to develop. Give some things time to develop. And we saw a little bit of that in Ball State, and that's why he got sacked a little bit there too. So I'm a little concerned with that because it's kind of two games where I think there's been a emphasis on for Arnold to let things play out. Hey, go through your progressions. And both games where he's sort of gone, okay, I'm going to sit in here. I'm going to stand in here. There have been a bunch of sacks. And guys not coming open. And I thought we're talking about a receiver room that's so talented. So I don't think it's a talent thing on the receiver side of things. So whether that's the routes that are being run are just not, it's just not a lot of great stuff in the middle of the field, or what. But it was just, I wish Arnold would have taken off a little bit more in that game and get a yard and move on. But I don't know. Overall, your question, yeah, I think they're a better football team, but it's hard. It's hard to say they've cleaned things up when you look at 13 penalties and 10 were on the offensive side of the ball, and your offensive line that's played 257 combined games committed 7 of them. Every one of the starting offensive linemen had a penalty in that game, at least one. So it's like, I would love to give them the benefit of the doubt. I do think they're a better team overall, but that you look at something like that, and man, I mean, why is that happening? Why does it mean you're on the road? Who cares, man?
Yeah, I agree. They've cleaned up one area, obviously with turnovers, but they've not cleaned up other areas, and it's got to happen for Auburn to get better and win these close games. I think you're hitting on something, Justin, with the routes, because I'm watching it and I'm going, boy, I've seen all those routes. I've seen them because I've scripted every play. I've seen the spacing route. I can't tell you how many times. I've seen the curl route that Horatio Fields made a catch on in the South Alabama game. You remember that near the goal line?
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 times. It's the same kind of stuff. And you remember earlier in the year, or maybe before fall camp or around the time fall camp started, Hugh Freeze made the statement, look, we got to draw back a little bit from what we were trying to do last year. We tried to do too much. I want to make sure we execute better. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I think they're executing pretty well for the most part. They're still not perfect there, obviously. Execution seems fine, but now you run into a problem where it's like it used to be at Auburn, where, okay, I think they've got you dialed in on your pass concepts. Everything that's shorter is like a stop or a sit or a hitch. There's no movement on those routes. So that's where Jackson Arnold gets into these spells of holding the football, because he's like, well, he's got a defender hanging on his back. I mean, what do I do here? And at the same time, I think, based on his body language and the way he's standing in the pocket the way he is, because that's really not his – I mean, it is, but he likes to run, So it feels like Hugh Freeze is going, all right, now stand in there. Let's get one here. I don't want you to take off too early. Don't take off before something comes open, because he's done that before too. So he's got to find the happy medium in there. It's got to happen. I don't know how you get him to do that exactly. I don't have the answer for it. I'm glad I'm not the one working on it.
Yeah.
It's complicated, but I feel pretty good about some of those sacks being him standing there for Mississippi. I've counted 2 of them.
Sure.
I've counted 2 of them already on the play script, Justin.
For sure.
I got to Mississippi. That should be enough time.
Oh, yeah, that's way too. I mean, yeah. At that point, just you got to move. You got to move. You don't have to take off, but I mean, like, I don't know. I guess if the pocket's clean, you want to stay in there. You don't want to mess it up. But yeah, it's way too long. I mean, there's just no question. A few of those, a good number of those, you got to get rid of it. You got to move. You got to decide you're going to take off or take a shot. There were definitely some of those where he could have let it fly and it was a one-on-one situation. And he could have just said, I'm going to let this fly. And he didn't. Maybe it might have been a tough cover, but hey, it's a 1-on-1. Let me give my guy a chance. And he didn't really do that either. So I don't want to be too hard on Jackson, because I think he's getting better. And, I mean,
there's just progress to be made from what you saw. It's really difficult to fix 4 interceptions against Cal last year. I think they had way bigger problems then than they do right now.
Yeah, I think your ceiling is still high with Jackson. Like you can still do a lot here. You got a lot of talent. There's still a lot to like here. I think we give credit to Oklahoma for being. They were the number 4 defense coming in. I thought they looked like it. So give Oklahoma. Think about it that way. Auburn went. Here's the other thing. Like, when I'm saying this, that it's kind of what you brought up last week. If you looked at this without taking into account the last 2 years, and you just said this is a top 25 Auburn team that went on the road to a top 10 team, a top 5 defense in the country, and they struggled. You'd be like, I mean, yeah, probably makes sense. I mean, but because we've seen the last 2 years, I think that makes some of what we're thinking about what we saw like worse. It's, we're sort of bringing a lot of that in, which is not unfair. I mean, it happened, and it's unfair if you're looking at trends. It's that's fine. But I think if you just took out the game by itself, you'd go, man, they faced a dominant defense, maybe one of the best, certainly one of the better defenses in college football, and you didn't play well, and you got to play better. But
Well,
maybe it's not the complete end of the world. I brought up in that post also, I was watching the game, and man, every bit of it looked like, for those that remember, a lot of it looked like 2017 Clemson. That offense was loaded, and but boy, they just, in that game at Clemson that year, they just were running the wrong stuff, and they were sending Jarrett Stidham back there, dropping back, trying to go vertical, and he was sacked over and over and over in that game at Clemson, and they still were right there with a chance to win. The defense played a hell of a game that night, and this was very much like that. And then that year, the offense flipped. They started running more. They stopped just trying to air it out. They changed it up a little bit. And you didn't see Jarrett Stidham hold the ball the way he did in that game. And I'm hopeful or optimistic that they'll see something and go, okay, like either it's all on Jackson and you were holding the ball too long, or it's a little bit on us in the pass routes, or whatever the combination is. We're gonna alter. We're gonna switch something here. We're gonna change a little bit, and we're not gonna have another game where you're just sitting back there for as long as you're sitting back there. I'm hopeful.
I've used that example too, and you know who Clemson's defensive coordinator was during that game?
Yeah.
Coincidence? I think not. No, you remember a couple weeks ago when you and I sat here and talked about like the LSU Clemson game, and there's another game that week, that opening week, that was really good. Can't remember right now. Anyway, we talked about those games, and we were like,
Texas Ohio State.
Yes, that's it. Like, man, those were heavyweights going at it. Like, wow, those are like potential playoff teams. I think a lot of people will look at the Auburn-Oklahoma game and go, that was the best matchup of the week. That was the best matchup of the week.
It was a good one.
Auburn couldn't pull it out. Oklahoma wins, and now they're looking at Oklahoma as a potential playoff team with John Mateer as a Heisman candidate, maybe the leader. What does that say about Auburn?
Yeah.
That also you come back and the SEC now makes a statement that you posted last night, Justin, about that play that resulted in 7 points, which was the difference in the game. And they're calling Oklahoma a playoff team and John Mateer a Heisman contender. What does that say about Auburn? It says a lot to me. It says a lot to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fair point. It's like when it's like the rankings when you see Florida State skyrocket up the rankings after beating Alabama, but then you see Alabama plummet. You're like, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Is Florida State fifth in the country, or are they not? If they are, well, then why are you dropping Alabama off the face of the earth? Like, how can both things, So, if you're come away going Oklahoma is top 10 and that dude's still the Heisman leader, then how do you not go, well, then why should we drop Auburn really? Or, okay, they lost, but why should we necessarily think a whole lot worse of them when we know what happened in that game?
And I'm not even talking about the poll, just in general moving forward.
Yeah.
What is going to be the perception of Auburn? The lines of all, these Auburn, Texas A&M, Auburn, Georgia. Shoot, man, if you ask me, they can go toe-to-toe with those teams. And I think they'll be in a very similar situation with both of them. They're better. Auburn's better than they were a year ago. Oklahoma is leaps and bounds better than they were a year ago. And I think what got everybody upset the most and disappointed the most is that Oklahoma went and found a quarterback and got rid of Jackson Arnold and made an upgrade, whereas Auburn takes Jackson Arnold and can't get over that hump against that team. That's the part where everybody's going, that's just a gut punch. It's a gut punch.
Yeah. I thought Brent Venables, he said after the game, hey, listen, Jackson Arnold's got a lot of good days ahead of him. He's still young. And I think that's true. Like, you got to remember, last year was his first real year, Arnold. Like, that was his first year of taking the reins, and he did it with 6 receivers on the sideline, a starting offensive lineman hurt, an offensive coordinator that gets fired in mid-October. Like, that was Arnold's first season. So think about how much growth Jackson Arnold still has in front of him. I think like there's still a ton he's going to learn. There's still a lot of experience he's going to gain. So I like Jackson Arnold. I'm I don't come away from that game uh, thinking any worse of him. I think that you just the holding on to the ball thing though is it. Listen, we went to the very first practice on fall camp, the very first scrimmage that we got to go watch in early August in Jordan-Hare Stadium. And you can attest to this because I told you this. We talked about it, but I didn't post it because I'm like, it's practice. It's week 1. I'm not going to get on there. But we walked out of there and I go, I watched it. He held the ball too long. We watched him scrimmage in Jordan-Hare Stadium and they were doing 7-on-7. And I walked away going, he just won't throw the ball. He won't release the football. And I thought at the time, well, maybe some of it's because he can't run. It's practice. He can't run. So maybe he's being forced to hold on to it a little bit because normally he would have taken off and run. But then you get a few weeks later and they have a scrimmage there where I go on the board and I say, offense didn't play well. Defense had probably 10 sacks. Remember, everybody lost their mind, thought I was lying to them or something. Oh, they weren't as bad as you're saying they were. I'm like, I'm telling you, they couldn't protect him in the drop back game, and he was sacked like 10 times in that scrimmage. So there is a slight concern with me on this holding the ball thing because it's not just a one-game thing, going back to what I've heard from the beginning of August.
No, it was an Oklahoma thing too.
There's an Oklahoma thing, but I've just heard it now a few different times, and now we've watched it. We watched it against Ball State a little bit. I've just seen it now. So something's got to be addressed with his vision, getting rid of the football, the routes being run, something's got to be addressed, or this will pop back up in critical moments where he doesn't get rid of the football. But other than that, like that's a legit concern, but I'm still not super down on Jackson. Wish they could have run the ball better. Was kind of, listen, I know Oklahoma's good. I was shocked that Auburn couldn't run. I mean, they had a 44-yarder from Cobb that was great effort, broken tackles, and then they had the famous Gus Malzahn pull the 2 guards, sweep around the end that you used to see with Ben Tate back in the day. With Damari ran off like a 15-yarder
bug sweep.
The bug sweep. Love that play. I swear that play seems to work every time.
Oh, it's one of the greatest plays in the book.
It's so good. I've seen Ben Tate run that so many times. So, but other than those 2 runs, nothing. That was a little bit surprising. I thought Auburn's offensive line could get a little bit more going. Hugh Freeze made an interesting comment after the game. He said, listen, we called more than 13 runs. So Cobb and Alston had 13 combined carries. He goes, we called more than that, but Arnold pulled some of those and threw the ball. But Freeze is like, he wasn't blaming him. He goes like, that's okay. That's our offense and we're fine with that. But he did just acknowledge they did call more than the 13 runs that you saw with those guys. But I do think there were some times where, hey, it's tough sledding, but maybe keep pounding against the wall a little bit more because of the struggles you were having, dropping back and passing. It's kind of a tough deal where you don't want to just keep running into a wall, but at the same time, you can't go backwards either. So I get it. It was a tough balance. Hugh Freeze admitted at halftime they never really got a good gauge of what they were. He was like every single play, Oklahoma's defense is like in a different coverage or a different front. Every play, they're doing something different. And some of the stuff that was going on the offensive line, they couldn't seem to get. He talked full cadences going because there were false starts and stuff. So I don't know, just a lot to clean up. But I don't know. Offensive line was a little disappointing in the run game, maybe.
Yeah, they were. Again, like you said, they probably needed more opportunity there because they are a good run blocking offensive line. I believe that. Talked all week about how good Oklahoma's front is. David Stone in particular, that guy, that is the best defensive lineman I've watched on tape, in a game, on tape, on film, whatever you want to call it. He's the best. He was a 5-star. He's living up to it, in my opinion. He made Connor Lew look stupid on one of those plays.
Connor had 2 holdings. I don't know if both of them were on Stone, but Connor Lew had 2 different holding calls in that game.
I'm not sure. I'm still walking through it, but the point is, you have to you kind of still have to do your thing. I mean, which Auburn did, like Free said. eh, You have to be careful about getting into this. Hey, they're pretty good up front, so we got to be careful.
Right. Right.
Do your
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, especially after you see Cobb break off a run like he did, that means it can happen. He had another great run on Auburn's first scoring drive. It was only a field goal. Early, it was in the first quarter. They gave it to him, and he popped a run, got all the way down to like the 3. So it was possible to do it. You can't just leave it because they're good at stopping the run. You can't leave it alone. And that was something that I felt like Gus Malzahn would do. Or, you know, it's just he would actually force it. He would force the square peg into a round hole sometimes. So you don't want to go that far.
But you know what we'd be saying? If he tried to hit run into a brick wall, we'd be going, "What are you doing? You got Cam Coleman, you got Eric Singleton, you got Malcolm Simmons out there."
Well, the
So
only
like
way
you know what would happen if he would have done that and ran into the brick wall a little bit, it would have been why are we wasting all these good receivers? Why are we taking more shots?
he could have called the game of his life yesterday. Nobody cares. You got to win the game.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what counts. So, and I don't think he called the worst game of his life. I don't think he called the best game of his life. I think he had some really nice shot plays. I tell you, the gutsy stand in your own end zone, throwing it deep. Now, one of those was a max protect, and you know what max protect means.
Yeah.
Well, they took it to a whole nother level. Hey, we're going to use 10 guys. There's one route on the field. One. We left 10 in. It's Cam Coleman or nothing. Go beat that guy. And he did. And it was still underthrown a little bit. Probably should have been interference on that catch.
Yeah. There was some early contact. Twice he was interfered with and didn't get a call.
But that's what I mean. Like, where's the intermediate stuff? You have the deep ball. You have what I'm calling the dude routes, where it's like Cam Coleman, go make this play. And then you have the hitches and the stops. Okay, they had one play, and it was to Malcolm Simmons over the middle, where the route continued across the field. It was a crosser. Starts on one side of the field. A guy's chasing him in man coverage, and it continues. He never stops. And Arnold found it. And Malcolm Simmons spun and got a couple extra yards. So they have it. I've seen it. They just don't go to it a lot. I think you might have to dip into that bag a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that also factors into him holding on to the ball too long, because you're not having enough of those against a good defense.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just it was tough sledding. But look, you're going to face A&M's got a good defense. So does Georgia. So does Bama. You're going to face some other tough ones. Defense, I thought, played their tails off. Defensive line continues to impress me. They won that battle. I mean, they only got one sack on Mateer, but I think they had 4, 5, 6 tackles for loss. But Mateer's mobile, and they didn't put him in situations to get sacked necessarily. So if I was trying to be nitpicky, maybe looking for a little bit more out of Keldrick Falk, maybe looking for a little bit more out of Kieron Crawford. Like, where's the can you win some one-on-ones out on the edge out there? Maybe a little bit. But defensive line as a whole, especially the interior, thought played really well. I think they only missed 5, 6 tackles during the game. I really liked Rayshon Pleasant. I really liked Kinsley Ludor Falston. I thought both those guys stepped up and played well. Jaquez Robinson stepped up and played well. And I've been hard on him. He's looked terrible at times, but he played well. So good step for the defense, I thought. Good step in the right direction. You did not look lost. They did not look sluggish. They looked physical. And for large portions of that game, I mean, they're in the middle of the game. They were shutting Oklahoma down. Now, Oklahoma started to go tempo, and that was probably smart and put some stuff together late in that game. Certainly the last touchdown drive of the game, they put some stuff together, which, by the way, on Mateer's last touchdown run, what was Caleb Harris waiting on exactly? Did you – in real time, I'm watching Mateer bounce to the outside, and I'm watching Caleb Harris stand at the goal line and just wait on him. I mean, it's sort of an off-topic thing, but I watched it happen. And I'm watching Caleb Harris just, instead of attacking the runner, just stand there. Just stand at about the 1 and wait for Mateer to come to him. I'm thinking, what is going on?
Is Mateer already past the line of scrimmage when he's doing
Yeah,
this?
Mateer had bounced it out, and so now you see Mateer. And at this point, Caleb Harris is basically at the goal line, and instead of beeline, he just waits on him. And Mateer comes and he tackles him, and Mateer hits him and then reaches forward for the goal line. Well, if you go make that tackle at the 5, he's not reaching forward. Anyway, it's just a side point. Defense, I thought, did a good job. Special teams, whoa, I don't know what I mean. We don't even need to really. I don't want to beat that dead horse, but and everybody gets mad at the coaches, but I don't know, man. Malcolm, that's on you. Well, yes, I don't know what you're doing. The bad snap to Hudson Cox, I don't know what happened there. I'm hard for me to say coaching. Those look like really foolish, boneheaded plays. We're not talking about they gave up a kick return where guys were out of position and they didn't. We're talking about, to me, a couple of boneheaded plays on special teams. One gives Oklahoma a touchdown. The other puts you inside the whatever it was on Malcolm. I guess there was a penalty on a kick. Now there was a penalty on the very last kickoff return that put Auburn in a hole.
That was
that killed them.
Killer.
So there was a penalty and there was some issues there, but man, some of those were just boneheaded plays by Malcolm Simmons. And I don't know what happened on the punt. Did you see a second? Was it a snap that shot Hudson Cox to the left and it put him out of position?
So where Hudson was standing, the snap went to about his left knee and off to the side, and he had to step over and try to catch it low, and it just kind of scrubbed the ground, and then it's not a good snap. It's just not a good snap.
And now he's further left than he needs to be. Now he starts to move to kick, and there's a defender coming, and he's in trouble. So yeah, that was, that's
not the first bad snap that Reed Hughes has had in his Auburn career. It's the second.
Yeah.
I know for sure it's the second. Might be the third, but I think it's the second. You never want to be talking about the long snapper. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the special teams, man. I had this fear, and we talked about this. I had this fear last year, and sat back, and I kicked my feet up, Justin, and I listened to everyone talk about Tanner Burns and how terrible he was. And I listened to everybody talk about how Peyton Thorne was so terrible. And I thought, what exactly are you going to say next year if it looks exactly the same?
Yeah.
Now, I'll give Arnold credit. It doesn't look exactly the same. I think he is an upgrade because he's not turning the ball over, but at the same time, the game ends very similarly. Different strategy, I guess, but similar result. But it was my fear that people would go, well, now what? I'm sorry, but that's kind of where you're at right now. The question is, can you make improvement from this week to next week? And really, I think the main thing you can really fix and finish games if, let's take half of those sacks. Let's say 5. He gets rid of the ball on 5 of them out of 10.
Uh-huh.
I think that could be the difference in winning a game like that. Just that.
Yeah, they lost. Jackson Arnold ended up losing 11 yards for the game, 21 carries for -11. Obviously, every time he got sacked, that's a carry.
By the way, the double move route, Cam Coleman, that he was open.
In the end zone?
Wide open, that he overthrew him just fingertips. Remember that one?
Well, there was 2.
Well, the one that Cam Coleman had to lay out for, and he actually touched it.
In the end zone, you're talking about?
Yeah, in the end zone.
Yes.
So that play is also a result of Jackson Arnold holding on to the ball too long. Not an inaccurate throw as much as it is he was late. I saw it on the actual broadcast, like when it happened in real time, and sat here and I was like, now. And it was like a half second after I said that, and he was already open. You have to throw it then, and he's still just. There was another one. I watched another one where he did let it go, but it was way too late.
Yeah.
Peyton Thorne had that problem last year, early on.
He did.
So it's I'd say it's more of a system thing. or a coaching thing at this point.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think you're more hopeful with Jackson because there's some real running ability there. Although, boy, he couldn't escape, man. He tried to escape. He did try to escape a couple times, and they got him. But again, I think they were just waiting on him. I think they had those guys in the middle. They were rushing, but those guys in the middle, I thought, on the defensive front for Oklahoma were also, they had their eyes on him. And as soon as it looked like he did take off, he got tripped up and he got tackled a couple times because they were anticipating. If it would have been a full bull rush, he might have been able to squeeze through and make some of those runs. But there's a couple times where it looked like they were waiting on him to take off, and he got tackled at the line of scrimmage or somebody that normally wouldn't make that tackle, but because they were waiting for him to do it, they could anticipate it a little bit.
Well, he's not really your guy that's gonna like evade out of the pocket and then make a play on the run. He's more of I'm gonna take off and find a lane, an escape lane in the middle.
Yeah.
Contain isn't as much of a problem with him. It's more of caging, like we've heard Hugh Freeze say, cage him. Don't let him get out. Don't let there be an escape lane. You have to make sure that's all taken care of. And they did. The other thing they did, what did we talk about? The very best thing Auburn has done in the first 3 games was the quarterback run game. When they got in 4th and whatever, they went quarterback run. They even took the read out of it. Just let Jackson Arnold go get the first down. Well, Oklahoma took that away. Said, you won't do that today. It's not happening. Forget it. And that's why the power read play to Malcolm Simmons scored. That was a very good play call because they knew they're going to crash on Arnold. If he can get a clean give to Malcolm, he's going to score. And he did. And that was the go-ahead touchdown with about 7 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Great play call. Great play call. Great execution.
There's some good calls. Listen, that double pass is a great call. Great call. He had him. Yeah. He had him. If that ball, and I have to go back and look, it looked like Singleton was getting some pressure. He had to get rid of that thing quick. He was getting pressure. If he had just a split second longer, I think he could have put that ball out there. And I think he caught it and just sort of had to chunk it. He was facing pressure, so he just sort of had to put it out there, and it was too much loft. But Cam had that guy beat. I liked it, man. It was there. It was there. And by the way, on that play, Auburn scored on that possession. So, yes, that was defensive pass interference. But for the people that are counting that as like a point swing by not calling that on Coleman, Auburn did score, correct?
Yeah,
I'm not wrong in that. They did get points on that. Horrible call. The ref looked like a moron, backpedaling, running for his life, not looking at the play. Like, fire that guy into the sun. That was the most Bush League thing I've ever seen. That guy, like, just not in position, not looking at the play. Pathetic.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What is the point of a statement from the SEC?
Okay, let's talk. Yeah, hey, listen, we went 30 minutes before talking about officiating. I think we deserve some credit.
I mean, my policy on this. Let me just be clear on that, by the way. I don't care. Y'all can whatever you want to say about the refs, go ahead. I made this post earlier in the season is what I'm referring to, Justin. All I meant was you can do it all day long, and I'm not going to stop you, but it doesn't change anything. And neither does a statement from the SEC. It's not going to change anything. It's not changing anything. It bothers me that they even put it out there. I don't even want to read it.
I'm okay with the statement. I'm glad that something needed to be said. They needed to own that. And I understand we're not gonna fully understand because the end of that statement was we're gonna have some other punishment that you won't know about, which we all think is stupid.
No, but the end of the statement is appropriate accountability will be applied without additional comment. So we're not going to tell you anything, but we'll take care of it. Don't worry.
And I think we're all on board with going, okay, now why is it that an 18-year-old can get up in front of the media, but a grown man official can't? I think we're all on board with why do officials not have to answer questions? Now, I will say that I do get the concern with that. The way people are about games and gambling, and you put officials like their face in the culture that we live in. You start putting a face and a name of an official that blew a call that cost you $5,000.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I am nerd. I don't love that, and
That's why they don't do it. It's a safety concern
for sure. I get it. Maybe they could. I don't know, but that's a tough one. But at the same time, I really would like to have some account. Put the head ref, put the head official, something. But back to the statement. I'm glad they at least released something because they owed Auburn that. They owed Auburn the minimum. They owed something to go, we messed up. We're going to take the brunt. If you go look at that post on social, their post is 5 million views. That's crazy for an SEC officiating clarification post at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. But that's how egregious the call was, and that's how obvious it was. So they're going to own that. What made it weird is, man, we could talk about bad calls, like a holding call or a pass interference call. There's stuff, but those two calls, it's hard to remember a game where it looks like you got two calls 100% wrong, and they both directly led to points. I mean, one call literally took a touchdown off the board for Auburn. One call literally gave the other team a touchdown. That doesn't happen often. You can talk about bad calls that maybe lead to a 3rd and 11, and now you get a fresh set of downs or something. But those two calls. Now, I will say Oklahoma was in field goal range. So, let's just say they still get a field goal, instead of the touchdown. So it's not. I don't even know that it's fully a 14-point swing, but you could certainly give Auburn their touchdown on defense, and you could certainly say Oklahoma maybe they're held to a field goal because it was like 2nd and 22. They're held to a field goal maybe instead of a touchdown. But that's all you need.
I think it would have been like 2nd and 33 if they actually called it.
Oh, yeah, if they'd have called it and accepted it, yeah, 2nd and 30, yeah, it was, I mean, further back. And so, for the argument on the OU side, I've heard the argument on the OU side, and they go, well, listen, despite all that, Auburn still took the lead with 6 minutes to go, and then you couldn't stop Oklahoma. They went down and scored, and it was settled on the field. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You don't get to be like, despite removing 7 points from Auburn and giving an additional, let's call it 4. Let's just give them a field goal. Giving an additional 4 points. Well, no, actually, you're right, because they've been 15 yards back. Let's give them nothing. Despite that, it was settled on the field. No. It wasn't. Because at the end of the game, the score could have easily been 24. At that point, it could have been what? It could have been 24-9. Maybe 24 to 13 or something. I don't know. That's what it would have been when OU goes and scores that touchdown, and now they're still losing. So
the entire dynamic of the game. I mean,
you can't play the game of, well, despite all the stuff, you had a chance to win it at the end. No, you can't just take points off the board and give you points and then make an argument that, well, you had a chance in the last 5 minutes to make a stop. That's a dumb argument.
But it is true that Auburn did still, despite all of that, have a chance.
They did. It was I thought it was a resilient effort. It's probably my number one takeaway from the game for Auburn was, despite all of the stuff, penalties, good, bad play, whatever, that was a resilient effort through bad calls, through penalties, missing Cam on a touchdown on the road against the top 10 team, and you have a chance at the end. A lot of resilience shown. You can build on that if you harness that. If the coaching staff can hammer into them, hey, listen, you guys were right there. We did a bunch of stuff wrong. You were right there. If you can hammer that into them, then you can go into College Station next week with confidence. I'm a little concerned about going into College Station. My gut, if you ask me right now, we'll see what my prediction is by the end of the week. My gut reaction at this moment, I think Auburn loses, and I don't know if it's as close as the OU one. I'm not saying they get blown out, but I don't feel great about them turning right around and fixing all their issues and going playing a game when A&M's sitting there at home studying film. I don't love this. I don't love this setup. I got to be honest.
If you're A&M, how are you feeling about Auburn right now after watching that?
Well, you got a real team. I mean, you got a physical team on your hands.
You're going, gosh, they present some problems.
Yeah.
What do you do with number 8?
But A&M kind of lit Auburn up last year in Jordan Hare. I mean, they got to whatever it was at the end of regulation, 30
Yeah.
or so
Speaking
points.
of number 8, he had a big game against them last year.
Yeah.
So I think they're looking at this game. And again, like I said, I think Auburn earned the respect of a lot of people in this game. It's unfortunate it ended the way it did. It was so ugly of an ending, and really just screwed the whole thing up. Even if you do lose, it looks like you lost worse than you did because of that last drive. And really, it's inexcusable. I don't know why. I mean, I didn't feel like Auburn was about to put it together on that drive. I felt like it
was a disaster. They went backwards. I mean,
momentum swung. You knew momentum swung, all that, but I didn't have confidence they were about to do it. But they had time. I mean, they had plenty of time. 4 minutes.
Yeah. There was definitely that was maybe I don't know. That moment certainly lacked composure and discipline. I mean, just big time. I mean, there needed to be some leadership, whether that was Jackson, whether that was Hugh Freeze, somebody before they even went out to take the field to start that drive. There should have been everybody calm down, take a breath. Well, you got 4 minutes on the clock, guys, one play at a time. And it felt like they ran out there and was like crowds in their face. They're backed up. And it was just it was a cluster.
Well, do you remember us talking about the stone-faced quarterbacks and how I love that about quarterbacks, guys that never change their expression and like they whatever gene it is that makes you stressed about situations like that. Some of those guys don't have it. I think that actually worked against Arnold in that situation. I made the statement to Jay on his show last night. Like, I think Peyton Thorne would have been a little bit more urgent about that. If you put him in that situation, it probably would have ended in a turnover. But Jackson was like way too relaxed on that, and it almost worked against him. Like, he's still operating the same way he was the whole game. Like, we're not gonna be urgent. We're just gonna do what we do. Like, I wanted a little more urgency out of him on that last drive.
Yeah. At that point, man, it was such a mess. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think we're kind of on the same page. I don't think we come away. I don't think it's a disaster. I think this team can still accomplish a lot. Look, my only thought, these next 3 games, 1 and 2, I thought would be phenomenal. So, you can still achieve that.
That'd be great.
I thought Oklahoma would probably win this game 6 or 7 times out of 10. I did pick Auburn because I thought there was definitely some avenues for them to win. And I said, forget it. Let's go with it. And by the way, give Auburn a defensive touchdown, take a touchdown away from Oklahoma, or give them a field goal. It's 24-20 Auburn.
Which was
I was 24-21. So I want to know who to call about this because my pick'em was just royally screwed. Shout out to Jeffrey, who absolutely nailed it, by the way. Oklahoma 24-17.
He did.
But he cheated like the refs. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you never know.
Tell him tonight. Tell him when y'all record a call-in show. Like, you pay the refs to make your pick'em look right, didn't you? You low down.
It wasn't me, big dog.
I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. I would say I'm not now. If you come out in College Station and you lose that game 34-20, 34, or so, if you can't rally, then I'll be a little concerned. Because what you don't want to do is go to College Station and have this loss impact that a little bit, where you lose a tad bit of confidence and you go and you don't play as well on defense there, and Marcel Reed causes all kinds of problems, and you give up 38, and then you come back home and you're like, crap. Now you got to have a week before Georgia, and that's good. But I would really love to see them put the same type of effort defensively 2 weeks in a row. I'd love to see that. To see that. And if you don't win, fine. But I don't want to see this loss compound into a 2-touchdown loss in College Station. I don't want to see that. Even if you lose it, I don't want to see it worse next week, if at all possible. Like, I'd love to see the same kind of effort and just go, man, we went on the road and played 2 top 10 teams, and okay, we lost them, but man, we were right there and we fought our tails off both times. That'd be okay with me, honestly, at this point.
Well, to me, it just feels like last year, it felt like hope was lost. Like, going into a game like this last year, you go, there ain't no way they're fixing to put together a win in this, or they're not about to put together a great offensive game plan enough to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
But this time around, I'm going, dude, it's there. There's so many things on film that you can learn from this. I mean, almost every play is a learning experience on film, whereas last year I'm like, I don't know how you fix that. Good luck.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it now, I'm going, oh, man, it's right there. You got it. You got that. You know, they have it this time around. I really believe that. I hope they get it together. I really do.
I'm with you. I think there's some stuff there to build on. Got to show improvement on the offensive side of the ball against A&M. Got to show you can run it a little bit. Got to show if you're Arnold, your internal clock speeds up a little bit, and then would love to see the same kind of defensive effort. And you got a shot. You'll have a shot in that one. You'll have a shot in that one.
Good news is you will not see David Stone again. I'm serious. That guy is ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
By the way, R. Mason Thomas.
We
talked about that. We were like, I go, man, I don't love that he's going to come off the bench at halftime, and Auburn's not have seen him yet. And sure enough, he came off at halftime and was a problem. And Auburn had no time to adjust because he only had one half of football, and he wreaked some havoc.
Yeah, he's a game changer. That's what we said. Yeah. I said he might be the best SEC edge rusher out there. I think he is. Do you know the big play that Cobb broke, which was a great play by Cobb, by the way? He ran down and made that play. R. Mason Thomas made the tackle on that play. He had no business being there. In fact, if not for him, that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
In fact, Arnold was like doing the touchdown signal when Cobb broke loose.
Yeah, if Cobb could have just gotten going, I think his speed could have gotten him. He broke through and he had to break a tackle. And it's one of those where by the time he gets his sort of momentum going again, Mason Thomas had already started the momentum. If Cobb could have maybe broken through there with a little bit more momentum and not basically had to start from scratch, he might have been able to take it.
Go back and watch that play. You will be shocked at how fast R. Mason Thomas gets.
Well, he was fresh, Cole.
He was fresh as a daisy.
He didn't have to play a half of football. Yeah. So I don't know. I come away.
That's the kind of stuff that makes Oklahoma what they like.
Yeah.
They're going to win games because of stuff like that. The throw that John Mateer made on the last drive where they scored. Oh my gosh. That was a Heisman throw. Which that catch got reviewed, and it was very similar to the catch earlier in the game that should have been a catch and then a fumble, but whatever.
Yeah, that was the right call. The last drive, he caught it. He caught it. That was the right call. The fumble was, and we didn't even talk about the fumble. Just, I get that's a subjective call. You know, when you're reviewing it, you've got to make a decision. What are we doing? What are we looking at? Caught the ball, took 2 steps, clearly had it, then he clearly didn't. I don't into overturn it. That's the stuff that I guess we're gonna do this our whole life.
What happens we take what the call is on the field and we take that very seriously. What happened to that?
I don't know. We've done this for now, I don't know, however long we've had review. We always go, okay, the call was this, so you have to now have overwhelming evidence. Like this has got to be beyond clear, beyond a reasonable doubt to change it.
Hold up in a court of law.
We always see stuff changed, and you're going, what did you see that was so overwhelming that made you change the call and take points off the board? It blows my mind that we do this constantly. It was a horrific call.
I cannot remember the last time Auburn got a positive, got a review to go their way. I can't remember.
I don't know. And the officials were bad. I'm trying to think on the, listen, Oklahoma walked away from that game and they thought the officials were terrible too. They thought, I didn't see as many. Both pick plays were absolutely the right call, Oklahoma fans, especially the one at the end of the half.
I thought the first one was actually like it could go either way. Like if they called it a pick, I'm cool with it. If they didn't, I'm also cool with it.
The one that was turning into a really long one?
The very first one. Like he was running an out route.
That looked so obvious. He ran the wrong way. The one right before halftime, the guy ran and then literally stopped his route and turned his shoulder back in. I mean,
I'm not against it.
Obvious.
I think it's the right call, but I also wouldn't be like up in arms if they called it the other way. Is what I'm saying.
You're not running a route at that point. You're literally hunting a DB. That's not a route.
The second one he was for sure. The first one looked like he was running an out route to me. That's all I'm saying.
Oh God. I don't know. I thought those were right. I didn't see.
I don't think it was right too. I don't want to be clear. I'm just saying that one was closer.
Yeah, but they walked away thinking they got screwed, and I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to sit here and think about. I mean, there was multiple holds on Auburn's defensive ends, especially in the first half, that we did not see called. There was a clear horse collar on Jackson Arnold. It was called. There was obviously the DPI on Coleman that didn't get called, but Auburn scored anyway. I don't know. Do you remember? Just to be fair, do you remember? Like, why would they be great? Were there some really? I'm sure that there were. Nothing that rises to the level of taking points off the board the way Auburn got screwed in that game. It just absolutely egregious. But I don't know. Maybe you use that as motivation and you tell your team, y'all got screwed. Let's go win it outright. Maybe that's your message. You go, listen, guys. It just shows you what the margin of error is, and you got to go plain clean football because you never know. You could go play a great game, and the refs could make a bad call and change the outcome, and it is what it is. Like it's more imperative on us to play a cleaner brand of football because there's things we can control and things we can't, and we got to be better at the things we can control. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of things to come out of that game if you're a coach to go, listen, I get the bad calls, but maybe we shouldn't have committed 13 penalties. You know,
I was going to say this earlier. At the end of the Gus Malzahn era, I felt that there was a loss of intensity. At the end of the Brian Harsin era, I felt like there was a loss of intensity. And I mean that from the players.
Yeah.
Not once have I ever thought, boy, that team's quitting on Freeze. Never.
Yeah.
They play like their hair is on fire. And I credit DJ Durkin a lot for that too. He's a big reason for it. They play hard, man. They play really hard. That's never of all the things that you can be upset about. Forget that one. They're fine. They're playing their tails off. Now you just got to get it all together. That part of it's there.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff in that locker room. The only game that I thought was just an absolute joke was the Music City Bowl in Freeze's first year. That was a pathetic effort. I thought that was just pathetic game plan, pathetic effort.
I should say the New Mexico State game too. It looked bad, but they always bounce back. Is kind of what I mean. They bounce back in that Iron Bowl, and we're just fine.
Yeah, but the New Mexico State game, like that. I put that on the coach. They overlooked them. They straight up overlooked them, and they were looking at Alabama film. They screwed the players. I thought in preparation for that. That's on them. They screwed the players. I thought in that one. All right. Anything else we need to hit? I mean, look, I think we're both on the same page. Right there, toe to toe. Made too many mistakes. Can't do that against big, good teams, big time games. Can't do it. Now go to College Station and build. Don't go backwards. That's my thing. Don't go backwards into College Station and let this loss get you down and it turns into or freak out about stuff. Don't overcorrect the other direction on offense or anything. Build on the physical brand of football you just played and go see if you can't put something together and be in the fourth quarter of that game with a chance to win. That's all you can really ask when you're on the road.
Strangely enough, going into the Oklahoma game, I did not feel good about Auburn's chances. I picked against Auburn. I picked Oklahoma. And I felt like that would be the case, and it was. Going into this game, now that I've seen it against a team like Oklahoma, I've seen it. I've seen the whole game of it now. I feel better this week about Auburn's chances. I might be the outlier there.
I mean, I get it, but I think A&M sitting there with a bye week, that's worrisome.
Well, it doesn't set up well for Auburn. I just mean being able to go into a game like that and execute and do what you need to do and have a chance to win the game. I feel good about that part of it.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. Be another big-time test, another big-time quarterback. And, man, you look out there, like Arkansas lost, but Taylon Green and company, that's and Petrino, they're going to present challenges when you go to them. Vanderbilt's going to present challenges, Missouri. So some of those games look a little bit harder than I probably initially thought. But whatever. That's the SEC. I mean, either you're going to take steps forward and be the kind of team you can be, or you're going to go, well, Vanderbilt's good, I mean, whatever. Like, or Arkansas is pretty talented. I mean, okay, cool. Memphis beat them. I mean,
is there a game on the schedule, Justin, that you look at and go, Auburn's got no chance?
Not no chance. No. I mean, no. If Georgia were in Athens, I would say, like, I don't know, 9 out of 10 you're losing that one. I think this year. I think Georgia's really good.
That's the only one, just because of past history in that game and how much they've owned Auburn.
They're just good. They're good. But it's in Auburn, so no, I don't say that. I mean, it's in Auburn, and they'll be coming off a bye week, and so yeah, they'll absolutely have a shot. Like, I can easily see a scenario where they go to College Station, they lose that one, and then give them a bye week, and they come play Georgia, and that thing's a dogfight. And they're right there. Like, no matter what happens in College Station, I expect Auburn to be in that Georgia game. So,
yep.
All right. Well, I think we covered it. Tough loss. For Auburn. Give OU some credit. Now we'll test the resilience of Auburn. We'll see what they're made of. See if they can bounce back and go get one in College Station. Just need one again. Just need one to me of these three.
I agree.
One of them gets you. You're sitting at 2 losses, and now it gets you to that 9. You can get to 9 wins if you can get one of these. If you lose all 3 of these, you literally have to win out to get to 9, which is kind of where I wanted them to be. I don't know. I know just getting one of these would be monumental. So we'll see. Health wise, everybody's pretty good. I don't know about any. Morris played. Jay Crawford didn't.
Champ Anthony played, and something weird happened to him. Do you remember that?
I'm sure his hand hurts like crap. I mean, just because you have a cast on it, I mean, he's probably still hurt. He probably had that hit, and it probably shocked his whole body. And his hand was probably vibrating and probably hurt. I mean, it hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I mean, he's got to play through it a little bit right now, but I don't know. Good strides on defense. Like, I think equally good strides on defense is some of the struggles on offense. Like, however you feel about some of the struggles on offense, I would feel as positive about some of the things we saw on defense. I mean, so
yeah,
kind of take what you want from those sides of the ball.
Sure.
All right. Let's get out of here. AuburnSports.com, YouTube, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. We'll be back with another week of coverage as Auburn gets ready for Texas A&M. Auburn fell out of the AP poll. They're 26th now. Who cares? Texas A&M's right around 10. So you got another top 10 matchup in College Station next week, 2:30 ABC. We'll see if Auburn can bounce back and go get one of these things. Still looking for a first ranked road win since 2021.
Still looking for that one, yeah.
All right, Cole. Let's get out of here. See you guys.